The duelists challenged. The plasma blade hummed inches from Captain Fiona Reed's throat, its violet glow casting eerie shadows across her face. Sweat trickled down her temple as she stared into the amber eyes of Empress Nalara, ruler of the Sardonyx Empire, and apparently an unparalleled duelist. "Is this the best Earth has to offer?" Nalara's voice carried a musical quality despite the mockery in her words. Her silver-scaled skin shimmered under the arena lights, translucent fins extending from her temples flaring with amusement. "Your reputation as warrior seems greatly exaggerated." Fiona bit back a retort, focusing instead on her breathing. The ceremonial combat chamber aboard Nalara's flagship resonated with the murmurs of Sardonyx officials and warriors who had gathered to witness the humans' defeat. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. "3 strikes," Nalara announced, withdrawing her blade and stepping back. "I need only one more to claim victory and your ship." Her tall, lithe form moved with predatory grace as she circled Fiona. Fiona gripped her own weapon, a modified energy blade the Sardonyx had graciously provided. It felt wrong in her hand, balanced differently than her standard-issue combat knife. But complaining wouldn't help her crew, who were currently detained in the holding bay of this massive alien vessel. "You know," Fiona said, measuring her words, "where I'm from, we usually start diplomatic relations with a handshake, not a duel to the death." Nalara's translucent fins rippled with what Fiona had come to recognize as laughter. "This is not to the death, Captain, merely to first blood, or in your case, to 4 strikes upon your body without drawing blood. The Sardonyx way is honorable." "Honorable would have been not shooting down our exploration vessel," Fiona muttered, adjusting her stance. Her dark hair was plastered to her forehead with sweat, her uniform torn at the shoulder where Nalara's first strike had caught her. "Your vessel trespassed in Sardonyx space. The penalty could have been immediate destruction." Nalara's fins stilled, her expression becoming serious. "Instead, I offered you the ancient right of challenge. If you win, your crew goes free. If I win, we claim your vessel and technology." "And the crew?" Fiona asked, testing the weight of the blade again. "They will serve the Empire, not as slaves, but as valued contributors." Nalara cocked her head, studying Fiona with unsettling intensity. "They will be treated well." Fiona knew what that meant. Human ingenuity and adaptability were valuable resources in a galaxy where most species had evolved into specific ecological niches. Humans were jacks of all trades by comparison, capable of thriving anywhere. "One more chance, Captain," Nalara said, raising her blade. "Impress me." The alien Empress lunged forward with blinding speed, but this time Fiona was ready. Instead of attempting to parry, a move that had failed her 3 times already, she dropped to one knee, letting Nalara's momentum carry her forward. As the Empress passed overhead, Fiona twisted and struck upward. Her blade connected with Nalara's armor, leaving a long scorch mark across the gleaming surface. The chamber fell silent. Nalara landed gracefully and turned, her amber eyes wide with surprise. "You scored a hit." "I did," Fiona said, rising to her feet with newfound confidence. "Looks like humans aren't so disappointing after all." For a moment, Nalara seemed speechless. Then her fins rippled again, but this time not with mockery. "Perhaps I underestimated you, Captain Reed." "Most people do," Fiona replied, settling into a proper fighting stance for the first time since the duel began. "Now, shall we continue, or would you prefer to discuss those diplomatic relations?" Nalara's eyes narrowed. "The challenge is not complete." "Then bring it on, Your Majesty." What happened next became a blur of motion. Nalara attacked with renewed vigor, but Fiona had found her rhythm. The Sardonyx fighting style was fluid and elegant, but it followed patterns Fiona had been studying during her first 3 defeats. She blocked one strike, ducked another, and managed to land a second hit on Nalara's armored forearm. The Sardonyx officials gasped collectively. "2 strikes," Fiona announced, mimicking Nalara's earlier tone. "I need only one more to claim victory." Nalara's fins flared fully now, a sign of either excitement or anger. Fiona couldn't tell which. "You learn quickly, human." "It's what we do best." Their blades clashed again, energy crackling between them. Fiona felt her arms vibrating with each impact, but she held firm. The Sardonyx Empress was stronger, faster, but Fiona had desperation on her side, and the lives of her crew depending on her. "Tell me, Captain," Nalara said between strikes, How does a mere explorer fight with such skill? Fiona parried another blow. Earth doesn't send unprepared people into the unknown. We've learned that lesson the hard way. Fascinating. Your species continues to intrigue me. Their dance continued, neither gaining a clear advantage. Fiona's muscles burned with exhaustion, but she refused to yield. She had studied Nalara's style enough now to anticipate most moves, even if countering them remained difficult. Then she saw it, a pattern break. Nalara feinted left but telegraphed her true intention with a subtle shift in her stance. Instead of responding to the feint, Fiona committed to where she knew the strike would actually come from. Their blades met, but Fiona was ready. She twisted her wrist, sending Nalara's weapon wide, then stepped inside the Empress's guard. With a final burst of strength, she brought her blade up, stopping it just short of Nalara's exposed neck. 3 strikes, Fiona said, breathing hard. I believe that constitutes a victory by your own rules. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. No one had expected the human to prevail. Nalara remained perfectly still, the energy blade humming dangerously close to her scaled skin. After what felt like an eternity, she stepped back and lowered her weapon. The challenge is complete, she announced, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. The human has proven worthy. Fiona deactivated her blade, nearly collapsing with relief and exhaustion. So my crew goes free. As promised, Nalara approached, studying Fiona with newfound respect. However, Captain Reed, I find myself reluctant to part with such an intriguing specimen of humanity. Fiona's relief gave way to wariness. What does that mean? Nalara's fins rippled with what might have been amusement. It means, Captain, that while your crew may return to Earth with your vessel, I would request that you remain as my guest. You mean prisoner? I mean diplomat, Nalara corrected. The first human representative to the Sardonyx Empire, an honorable position. Fiona hesitated. Her mission had been exploration, but first contact, even this unusual form of it, was equally important. And if I refuse? Nalara's amber eyes gleamed. You won't. Your curiosity matches your skill with a blade. I can see it in your eyes, Captain Reed. You want to know more about us, about me. The worst part was, Nalara wasn't wrong. Despite the danger, despite the bizarre circumstances, Fiona found herself intrigued by this alien culture and its enigmatic empress. My crew goes free, returns to Earth safely, and I stay as a diplomat, not a prisoner, Fiona said, laying out her terms. And no more surprise duels. Nalara's fins quivered with what Fiona was beginning to recognize as genuine amusement. Unless you wish to practice, you show remarkable potential. Do we have an agreement, Empress? Nalara extended her hand in a surprisingly human gesture. We do, Captain Reed. Welcome to the Sardonyx Empire. As Fiona took the Empress's cool, scaled hand, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had just stepped into something far more complex than a simple diplomatic mission. The way Nalara looked at her, with curiosity, respect, and something else she couldn't quite identify, sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. Whatever happened next, humanity's first official contact with the Sardonyx Empire was going to be anything but ordinary. Negotiations and revelations. Captain Fiona Reed stood at the viewport of her new quarters aboard the Sardonyx flagship Eternal Dawn, watching the stars streak by as the massive vessel continued its journey deeper into Imperial territory. Her crew had departed 3 days ago, heading back to Earth with news of first contact and her unprecedented arrangement with Empress Nalara. The door chimed softly, interrupting her thoughts. Enter, she called, turning to see who her visitor might be. The doors slid open to reveal Empress Nalara herself, no longer wearing the ceremonial battle armor from their duel, but instead draped in flowing garments of iridescent fabric that complemented her silver-scaled skin. Captain Reed, Nalara greeted, her amber eyes scanning the room. Are your accommodations satisfactory? Fiona gestured to the spacious chamber with its alien but elegant furnishings. More than satisfactory, though I admit I'm still adjusting to the higher gravity. Your species adapts quickly, Nalara observed, moving into the room with that characteristic fluid grace. Both physically and mentally, it's one of the traits that makes humans so intriguing. Fiona crossed her arms, studying the Empress. Is that why you wanted me to stay? To study human adaptability? Nalara's fins rippled slightly, amusement Fiona had learned. Partially, but also because you defeated me in combat. That hasn't happened in 17 cycles. I got lucky. No, Nalara said firmly. You observed, adapted, and executed, the mark of a true warrior. The Empress moved to the viewport, standing close enough that Fiona could see the subtle patterns in her scales, the way they caught the light from passing stars. We are approaching Cadirius, the third planet in the Sardonyx system, Nalara explained. My homeworld. You will be the first human to set foot on its surface. Fiona felt a flutter of excitement despite herself. This was what exploration was about, new worlds, new civilizations. I should inform you, Nalara continued, that as my guest you will be expected to attend certain functions. There will be those in the Imperial Court who will wish to meet you, evaluate you. Test me, you mean? Fiona replied. Nalara's fins quivered. Perceptive. Yes, some will challenge your right to be there. The duel we shared has granted you respect, but not acceptance. I didn't expect a red carpet welcome, Fiona said, shrugging. But I'd appreciate knowing what I'm walking into. On Earth, we'd call this a diplomatic briefing. Nalara gestured to a seating area, and they both moved to take seats across from each other. The furniture, designed for Sardonyx physiology, was unexpectedly comfortable for Fiona. The Imperial Court consists of 12 houses, each representing a different aspect of Sardonyx society, Nalara began. Military, science, agriculture, commerce, all have their representatives. As Empress, I balance their interests and guide our people. A constitutional monarchy. Similar though our traditions date back 20,000 years, Nalara said, a note of pride in her musical voice. Each house will want to assess what humanity might offer or threaten in their domain. Fiona leaned forward. And what does the Empress want? Nalara's amber eyes fixed on her with that unsettling intensity. I want to understand why in a galaxy of predictable species humans are so unpredictable, so adaptable, so dangerous yet so creative. We're just trying to survive like everyone else, Fiona offered. No, Nalara countered. Most species merely survive. They find their niche and remain there. Humans constantly evolve, constantly push boundaries. Her fins flared slightly. It makes you valuable. It also makes you threatening. The implications weren't lost on Fiona. Is that why your ships fired on us? You saw us as a threat. Caution is the foundation of survival, Nalara replied. But I chose to test rather than destroy. The challenge revealed more about humanity than any diplomatic exchange could have. It revealed I can hold my own in a fight, Fiona said. That's hardly representative of all humanity. Nalara's expression shifted to something Fiona couldn't quite read. It revealed courage, adaptability, and honor. You fought not for yourself, but for your crew. You learned my techniques even while failing. Then when victory was yours, you showed mercy. She leaned forward. These are qualities worth understanding better. Something in the Empress's tone made Fiona's heart beat faster. There was admiration there, certainly, but something else too, something that felt surprisingly personal. Tomorrow we arrive at Cadirius, Nalara continued, rising gracefully. You should rest. The imperial reception will be demanding. Fiona stood as well. One more question, if I may, Empress. You may call me Nalara when we are alone, she said, surprising Fiona. What is your question? Why did you offer your hand at the end of our duel? That seemed like a human gesture. Nalara's fins rippled with genuine amusement. We are not so different as you might think, Captain. The Sardonyx have studied many species, including yours, from a distance. I chose a gesture you would understand. Fiona, she offered in return, when we're alone. Fiona, Nalara repeated, the name sounding exotic in her musical accent. Rest well. Tomorrow everything changes. After the Empress departed, Fiona returned to the viewport, watching the unfamiliar stars. She couldn't shake the feeling that Nalara was right. Everything was about to change, not just for her, but potentially for all of humanity. The following day, Fiona stood on the observation deck as the eternal dawn entered orbit around Cadirius. The planet below was breathtaking, swirling oceans of deep turquoise, land masses covered in vegetation that appeared silver and purple from this distance, and massive cloud formations that glittered with electrical activity. Impressive, isn't it? Came a deep voice beside her. Fiona turned to find a male Sardonyx watching her. Unlike Nalara, his scales were darker, almost gunmetal gray, and the fins at his temples were shorter, more rigid. Commander Tezok, he introduced himself with a formal bow, head of Imperial Security and advisor to Empress Nalara. Captain Fiona Reed, she replied, offering a small bow in return. Earth Exploration Force. His vertical pupils narrowed slightly. Yes, the human who bested our Empress in combat, quite the achievement. There was something in his tone that put Fiona on edge. It was an honor to participate in your tradition. Honor, he repeated, the word sounding flat. Tell me, Captain, do you understand what it means to be a guest of the Empress? I'm the first diplomatic representative of humanity to the Sardonyx Empire, she answered carefully. Tezok's fins remained still, no amusement there. You are much more than that, whether you realize it or not. Our Empress does not invite defeat lightly. Before Fiona could ask what he meant, the door to the observation deck slid open, and Nalara entered, now dressed in formal regalia that made her look even more regal. Commander, she acknowledged Tezok, I see you've met our guest. We were just discussing the view, Empress, he replied smoothly, bowing deeply. It is magnificent, Fiona agreed, turning back to the viewport. The transport to the surface is ready, Nalara announced. Captain Reed will accompany me directly. The formal introduction to the Imperial Court will take place at sunset. Tezok's expression revealed nothing, but Fiona sensed disapproval. As you wish, Empress, I will ensure security is prepared. After he departed, Fiona turned to Nalara. He doesn't approve of me being here. Tezok is cautious by nature and duty, Nalara replied. He sees threats where I see opportunities. And which am I? Fiona asked. Nalara's amber eyes glinted. That remains to be seen, doesn't it? Come, my world awaits. The journey to the surface revealed Cadirius in all its alien splendor. The architecture of the capital city blended seamlessly with the natural landscape, spires of crystalline material rising from the silver-purple vegetation, structures that seemed to flow rather than stand. As their transport approached the Imperial Palace, a massive structure of sweeping curves and impossibly tall towers, Fiona noticed the crowds that had gathered to witness her arrival. Word of your victory spread quickly, Nalara explained, noting Fiona's surprise. It has been centuries since an outsider has earned such recognition. They look curious, not welcoming, Fiona observed, seeing the way the Sardonyx citizens watched the transport with still fins and intense stares. Curiosity precedes acceptance, Nalara said. You must understand, Fiona, that the Sardonyx have remained isolated by choice for generations. Your presence represents a significant shift in policy. Your policy, Fiona realized. This was your decision, not a consensus. Nalara's fins flared briefly. The burden of leadership is making decisions others are not yet ready to make. I believe it is time for the Sardonyx to engage more fully with other species, particularly humans. Why now? The Empress was silent for a moment, her gaze fixed on the approaching palace. Because the galaxy is changing, old threats are stirring. Isolation will not protect us forever. Before Fiona could press for details, their transport docked at an elaborate landing platform. Guards in gleaming armor formed a path leading into the palace. Remember, Nalara said as they prepared to disembark, you earned your place here through combat. Hold your head high, show no weakness, and address only me unless spoken to directly. Fiona straightened her uniform, a new one provided by the Sardonyx, styled to mirror her Earth Exploration Force attire, but made of materials better suited to Cadirius's environment. One last thing, Nalara added, her voice dropping to a near whisper. Trust no one fully, not even me. The court is a battlefield of its own kind. With that cryptic warning, the Empress led the way onto Sardonyx soil, Fiona following a step behind, acutely aware of hundreds of alien eyes watching her every move. The Imperial Palace was even more impressive inside, with vaulted ceilings that seemed to capture and amplify the changing light of Cadirius's sun. Fiona followed Nalara through a series of grand halls, past Sardonyx officials who bowed deeply to their Empress while eyeing the human with varying degrees of curiosity and suspicion. They arrived at what appeared to be private chambers, and once inside, Nalara visibly relaxed, her fins settling into a more neutral position. The formal introduction will begin in 3 hours, she explained. Until then, you should prepare yourself. My attendants will assist you. Prepare how exactly? Fiona asked, suddenly wary. Nalara's fins rippled with that now familiar amusement. Nothing invasive, I assure you, but appearance matters in the court. You represent not only yourself, but all of humanity. As if on cue, several female sardonyx entered, carrying what appeared to be clothing and various items Fiona couldn't identify. I'll return for you before the ceremony begins, Nalara said, moving toward the door. She paused, looking back at Fiona with an unreadable expression. Remember what I said about trust, Captain. The court may test you in ways our duel did not. After the Empress departed, Fiona found herself subjected to what could only be described as an alien makeover. The attendants were efficient but gentle, helping her into formal attire that blended sardonyx aesthetics with elements of her human uniform. As they worked, one of the attendants, slightly younger than the others, spoke softly. You are the one who matched the Empress in combat. Fiona nodded, though I suspect she was holding back. The young sardonyx's fins twitched, surprise, perhaps. The Empress never holds back, it is not our way. Another attendant shot the younger one a warning look, and they continued their work in silence. But the brief exchange left Fiona wondering what other assumptions she might have made about the sardonyx, and about Nalara specifically. When they finished, Fiona barely recognized herself in the reflective surface they provided. Her dark hair had been arranged in an elaborate style that complemented the high collar of her new attire, and subtle cosmetics enhanced her features without making her look less human. The Empress returns, one of the attendants announced moments before the door slid open. Nalara entered, now dressed in even more elaborate regalia, a crown-like structure of delicate metalwork adorning her head. She stopped abruptly when she saw Fiona, her amber eyes widening slightly. You look, she began, then seemed to reconsider her words, appropriate for the occasion. Something in her tone made Fiona suspect that wasn't what the Empress had intended to say. It's nearly time, Nalara continued, regaining her composure. The 12 houses await. Are you prepared? Fiona straightened, meeting the Empress's gaze directly. As ready as I'll ever be to face an alien court that probably sees me as either a curiosity or a threat. Nalara's fins rippled briefly. They will see what I saw in our duel, a worthy representative of your species. She extended her hand, palm up. Come, Fiona Reed of Earth, let us show the Sardonyx Empire what humanity has to offer. As Fiona placed her hand in Nalara's, she couldn't help but feel that this moment, this connection between human and sardonyx, represented something more significant than either of them yet realized. Together, they left the chambers and proceeded toward the imperial court, where the fate of two species might hang in the balance.